Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the third episode of me pressing my cooldowns without using pillar first, just cause I think it's smart. In the last episode, we broke into the +6 bracket of this season, while also timing a dungeon as a foreman party and grabbing our first crafted item in form of a necklace. We also figured out that apparently I don't deserve loot for dying in Cleave, which is fair. And we ended on an item level of 494 alongside a dungeon rating of 1141. Yet in this episode, we go even higher, as we aim for a +8 key or 2 in order to prep our first big vault coming reset. Speaking of vault, we got upgrades. A lot of upgrades. I'm talking the Trinity of Upgrades. Crafted item, vault, and another raid piece of our choosing.
Damn!
We also will have another attempt at foremanning a dungeon, well, sort of. And we will figure out that not every pre-made group that is applying to my keys is the same. So if that sounds like an episode you would want to dropkick your neighbor for, then make sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, consider subscribing too, since it's for free and really helps me out. But without further ado, make sure to grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy episode 3 of Not Deserving Any Loot. And despite us not deserving any, we still get big upgrades. First, we got our vault to open. 3 potential hero slot pieces, so an upgrade is inbound regardless. And this one was actually a wet dream of a vault for either week 1 or week 2 of the season. All of our Mythic Plus choices were slots that are eligible for tier set. And combined with the options of LFR, we pretty much got every tier set slot covered. Yet because this also makes our choice a lot easier, due to us already rocking 4 set, I simply took the one that gave me the biggest bump in item level and moved on. Now for a crafted item, I decided to go for yet another blue linen silken embellishment, just cause I wanted to, by getting myself some wrists done on 525. So damn juicy.
So good and tasty?
The last item on our list of upgrades was another raid item of our choosing from those raid item currency coin thingies that Blizzard is just spoiling us with, but in order to receive them, we need to raid. So I thought I'd simply combine killing the lowest version of Farak for a potential legendary drop alongside getting those coins. And we know how it goes. So let's get a proper weapon, not some pay to win fraud. A real man's tool to inflict pew pew in the world of Warcraft. Ash Kender is easily the second best weapon to get, and now we have the biggest problem in the world. We lack currency.
That sucks.
I got 3 big booty items to upgrade, but I lack the juice. So let's do some keys. And our first key will push us into Azure Vault. And even though we had our fair share of, well, experiences in Azure Vault the last episode, where we format a dungeon to the end, let's hope we will not share this fate today. This is also my first proper week of Fortified, as I only did 1 key in our first week of the series. Gotta try Breath once this week for sure, even though you guys recommended against it. Yet while on the topic, let's quickly mention the other affix besides Fortified that matters for us in this week. It's Storming. So cool, so crisp, so sexy. I don't like it.
Disgusting!
It's volcanic for melee, but it moves.
When is it gonna end?
Ian! And even though bursting technically is up this week too, considering it's only popping up at level 10 or above, you can avoid the affix completely while still stacking your vault with BIS items. I absolutely love that. Back to the dungeon itself, we didn't do any fancy pulls or skips, just your very basic route, which is more than welcome for me. Oh, and hey, I learned. I use Death and Decay so often now that I was praying for a cooldown decrease on the next week's patch. Unfortunately, I was thinking so hard that I decided to test my luck and use AMS for this big ass AoE. Turns out, that ain't gonna cut it. Other than that, I was busy using the only utility DKs are known for, Death Grips. I tried to interrupt as many shard throws as I can, so the tank won't have a ticking bleed to deal with. Good guy Kusi. Yet even though my damage inside of packs is getting slightly better, my boss damage is very much garbage. When pulling with cooldowns, I do some mad damage, but unfortunately that will drop very quick. But at least I can claim usefulness on a second boss while death gripping those extra mobs, and thus no one will notice that I keep dropping in damage. Another useful moment for decays to shine is either one of those rooms after the mentioned second boss. Abomination Limp is really cool there. That is, if you got it up and didn't waste it on the boss earlier, or if you actually use it when it's up. And here's where I meant I could tell my DPS was dropping. On the third boss, I didn't even end up above 100k, which is arguably too low for an item level of almost 500. But I'm good at sniping damage, so the final boss, I just sent my big veiny worm towards the crystals, which didn't help ultimately as the hunter surpassed me on the very last second of the boss. Disregarding, I was only a wee bit behind the hunter in overall, and we 3-chested this puppy to an extra score of almost 69, and the cloak, an item. Yay! Good item level, crit haste, what more can you ask for? And so we end up with our first +9 key. Yeah, right. seems a bit high. But because it's a key for Agatha Academy, and that one is relatively simple for the most part, I decided to keep it on 8. Now, did I do that because I think I'm good enough to do an 8?
No.
Or skilled enough?
No.
Or because I know how to deal with AAs? And I gotta be honest, I got spoiled with this party. Full gang of German mercenaries that applied as an entire pre-med group and just wanted to farm their vault slots. God bless +8 for vault, man. And of course we did a big pull. Yet you can tell these guys are smart since they didn't rely on me pumping, thus they didn't gather the entire room even though we lusted it. Didn't even hit 1 mil. Yet good Kussy, come on. But crowd, I yet felt again how my DPS just ain't gonna cut it for single target. I really need to get used to that ASAP or otherwise I will never make Daddy Arthas proud.
You know what to do.
Now that's what I'm talking about, baby. Big numbers, big damage, big... well, yeah, big.
That's what she said.
Also Nepcha, thank you for the follow. You're an absolute unit. Now then, as expected with this gang, we also timed this one quite comfortably with a 2-chester for an extra 117 score, and yeah, I'm not even close to those guys in damage. But the gear was out of my league, so as a grown adult, I blame my gear for it.
Wildlife!
We got a Brackenhide 10 from that, but before we go there, hoi! Let me quickly remind you that we are on the road to 10k subscribers on the YouTube, and if we manage to achieve that goal, we will have a 24-hour stream of Torment with a face cam and a potential Pink Panther onesie.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it!
You heard me. So if you watched this so far without subscribing, I mean, come on, do the magic, make it happen. Also join the Discord for future stuff in the War Within. Now back to the video. Because I felt a bit
disgusting
playing with those god tier gamers just now, I wanted to make something different. I took the 10 Brackenhide we just gotten and lowered it to 7, as I assumed this would get me some people quicker, due to hero item level dropping at the end of the run. And so I don't feel too blessed with yet another +8 done, purely copium. All of those people in this run were around my item level, no 515 bangers, no extra juice tank, and I feel like it shows. Finally I can top the shards and did too much of the shard topping. This is one of the dungeons where I remember that I enjoy Fortified a lot more than Tyrannical. Just use cooldowns whenever they are ready and don't worry about keeping them for bosses too much. Yet after biting the dust twice already, I came to the conclusion to stop that if I want to not look like a fool, until I got shafted by the boss. We killed the totem and I believed in the healer to dispel the tank, and believed the tank would take care of my fragile dwarf body. Unlucky. Out of the 4 deaths, I died 3 times. What a good ratio. While clearing the trash towards the barked one, I dropped dead again, and as I was wondering why the hell I got meleeed for no damn reason, it dawned upon me.
Oh, he dead!
Not a full wipe though, since those gamers just kited the entire flash mob of trash mobs until we were able to get rid of them. I call it a W. Bosses were legit no problem, besides Godshot just giving me the meat.
What do you mean by that?
And the hyenas that stood right next to me went to town on my black dwarven ass.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way.
Man, I was not feeling it this run. And by it, I mean the enjoyment of staying alive. We racked up a few more deaths before we eventually still had about 6 minutes for the final boss to spare. And I was just happy this was over. And even though our gear was very similar throughout the party, I was still behind. Granted, dying as much didn't help. But we got another 8 and I was certain I will lower this one again. Because I obviously cannot hang in them keys by myself. But then I saw it's another Algatar. You know, the one we did earlier. So I decided to keep it on 8 for now. And as one would have hoped, I yet got another full-blown pre-med party to apply to the key. This time no Germans, so already a downgrade. Yet this run went very different compared to the last AA we did. First the tank went to get the entire room, and once he had them all, or so I thought, I wanted to start a ramp. I could see him lead the charts by a good amount, so I was certain he's fine. Turns out, those bugs had a different idea.
Come here, boy!
Now while everything else sort of worked out like the other run, things did change once clearing the trash around Veximus. First, did you know there's a bug that will prevent the worm from charging the targets if you stand close to the edge? It's good and nice to know, however apparently it's bad when you're a BM hunter, because your pets also just get stuck and won't do anything. I'm not 100% certain how it works, but it does. So here's the thing, right? When you pull all of those 3 packs, I don't think this is the play. The tank just gripped one mob instead of slowly gathering them with building initial aggro. Mage dead. And while rewatching this, I reckon this wipe was also sort of my fault. See, if I use CR here, we most likely live. But I'm going to assume the tank did use CR, which means he lacked the runic power to deathstrike himself. Pretty certain this one is on me since he did over 500k HPS. Surely lacking one deathstrike makes a difference. So we eventually dropped that, just for our tank to pull the next pack slightly too overconfident. Yet on this pack I once again was dumb. The only focus that all DPS should have is to interrupt the big blast by the scepter mob. It hurts a lot, and since you can't kick it, every other form of CC or displacement works. I'm just too busy on doing my rotation right, so I wasn't on full focus, but that's no excuse. That's the only mechanic to play here. Eventually we did clear the trash and Vex to ultimately also kill the final boss with 17 deaths and still a +1. Got hero legs, even though this time I really felt that I in fact didn't deserve any loot. I don't like being trash, it annoys me.
Oh, boo-hoo!
The final dungeon for this episode is a juicer though. It's Halls, finally Halls of Infusion. This is a dungeon I didn't do yet, at all. So the score we get from this will be big. We got it on 9, but since I, again, considered my own decision making weak, I lowered it to 7. Didn't take me long to find a party, so let's go. But relatively quickly we found out that this one won't be a smooth sail.
Oh, hell no, man.
Our Demon Hunter disconnecting will be a reoccurring theme this dungeon, and speaking of reoccurring themes, I goofed again. I was certain I was aiming towards the wall with my dragon, turns out I didn't. Matter of fact, in the replay it kinda looks like I'm already positioned myself to aim that exact way. It took us 13 deaths to arrive at the first boss, and boy, this one took a minute. Granted, I forgot we didn't have Lust and I didn't use drums either. The Gulping Frog Lord was our next stop, as we had to wait for our Demon Hunter again, until we decided to just grip him into the boss room and start the fight regardless, so if he returns, he can be part of it.
Here's Johnny.
He did return quickly though, so we blasted the boss with the help of those mentioned drums. Kajin, however, turned out to be a big issue, even though it's not tyrannical. Should have kept drums for this one. The entire party was constantly low, and I don't know if this boss is just an absolute pain to play as a disc, or if 200k HPS isn't enough these days, but boy did we struggle. I was death striking my nuts off, and just to kick me while I was down, I got cocked by those ice blocks spawning below me to knock me back more than once, even being my downfall at some point. Needless to say, because of me death striking myself to somehow stay alive, my DPS was even worse than usual, which didn't make the boss easier by all means. We did manage to not wipe though, since we had all the CRs to cover up, and slowly but surely we made our way to the final boss. Finished it with 230 overtime, which was absolutely unnecessary. Even with our DH disconnecting, just my mistakes alone did cause that time, and with that I decided I may need a break from WoW for today, and that's why this is where we will end our third episode of Dwarvin's journey. Some improvements on the board in terms of score and item level, yet some downgrades when it comes to gameplay and decision making. Surely this will be better soon. But as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you have the most fantastic day whenever you see this. Until I catch you in the next one, take care.